Hello, Rash.
Hi, how are you?
Just for our listeners, Rash is. I came across Rash profile when I saw that Rash has finished in top six of Riva for teams in WA, and he also has hit 200 sales for the year in the last 12 months. And I thought, wow, that's a big number because I saw the comparisons and Rash is everywhere. So I reached out to Rash and he has kindly agreed to have a chat.
Thank
And,
you for the invite. I appreciate it.
so let's start from very initials. Who's Rash? Rash, tell us about yourself. I don't have much
Excellent.
to say.
Well, I've been in Australia now 23 years. So I'm originally from Kenya. So I'm Kenyan Indian, third generation Kenyan Indian. I came to Australia to do my university education and pretty much looking for education. My parents sent me here and was an international student when I came. Studied in Curtin, got a degree in information systems, and just really loved Australia. Thought it was such a nice place, beautiful country, very relaxed Perth was. So that's what I really enjoyed about Australia. But I did come as a student initially.
So you define yourself as Kenyan Indian.
Yes.
What's a Kenyan Indian? Either you're a Kenyan or you're Indian.
Indians are out of the minority group, are the majority of the minority group there. So a lot of the times, you'll find there's a lot of Indian people in background that are living in Kenya. And I guess it's just the way we identify sometimes. But we are Kenyan. We were born there and part of everything that to do with Kenya, we helped build the country. And now I'm in Australia. So
you're a third generation Kenyan.
yes. So third generation Kenyan with Indian background. My grandfather, about 120 years ago, went to Kenya when he was 5 years old. The British at the time were looking for skilled labor to build the railway. So that's how a lot of Indian families migrated from India to Kenya, to East Africa. So that's how it all started initially. And a lot of them stayed back, just the way I came as an international student, I stayed back. So I think very similar at the time. But he came when he was 5 years old and then had his family. And my dad was born in Kenya, and so was I.
So you were born in Kenya. How was your childhood days? How was Rash in his studies?
A lot of pressure from the family to study. So we were always told education is most important. My parents highly valued education and also sports and things like that. So, it was very study-focused household at my house. So, play, but also make sure you're getting educated. They wanted us to go to university and get educated. At the time, it was, obviously something that was very important for us as a family.
So you were good in studies?
Yeah, very good. Good in maths, chemistry, sciences, biology, physics. So I loved math, especially. I'd be sitting all night doing math solutions and equations and studying. And I was quite lucky because my dad was very good at math, and my cousin sister was living with us. She was doing maths in university. So a lot of time there was, she was always teaching me new things, and I really enjoyed maths.
So once you decided to go to a foreign country, the question is, why choose a foreign country? Why couldn't you just keep studying in Kenya and make big in Kenya?
I could have, but a lot of the education, university education, people generally in Kenya go overseas, do it, and come back, or they stay overseas. That's just the nature of how the families have their goals set. So I think my dad's intentions and my mom's intentions were go overseas, study there. If you like it, stay back. And if not, there's always home. You can always come back. So, having a foreign education is part of the ethos growing up, basically. Go overseas, study, do a university degree. And Yeah, having a university degree at the time also was a big thing. It's not, now people don't value it as much. Times have changed, but back then it was also important. So I was probably, from all my extended family, I was probably the third or fourth person to ever get a university degree. So it was a big thing. So my brother and I both came to Australia together, and we both graduated.
So why choose Australia? You could have, or did you choose or compare different countries like UK or some other places as well?
Yeah, so from my high school, the entire high school went to the UK, Canada, or US. I was the only one to go to Australia. I think I was always did things differently from the start. So I said, everyone's going there. I'm going the opposite direction. So since then, a lot of them have moved to Australia. But at that time, it wasn't the norm to move to Australia. But I didn't want to do anything. I didn't want to do what they were doing. I was like, I'm going to do something different. So my parents liked the idea of Australia as well. I was a young country, and they said, yeah, no problem. Whatever you decide. If you want to go to the States, you want to go to UK, you want to go to Canada. I looked at going to Waterloo, which is a maths university there, and London School of Economics as well. I looked at that. But I don't know, I had this thing where I just wanted to go to Australia, do something different. So.
Yeah, and how was the first year in Australia as a student?
Very difficult. A lot of homesickness. So I think I went through what a lot of people go through when they first come to Australia. They miss their home, mum's cooking. The usual lifestyle's different. The weather's different as well, so you have to adjust to that. You have to learn, and I was quite spoiled growing up in Kenya. I had maids, and everything was done for me. So to come, I had to learn new things. So I'd say it's difficult, but very vital, important to just grow up as a human being. I was 20 years old, still a kid. So I think Australia was a bit of a rude shock my first year. Then I started getting really accustomed to the way of living on your own and away from your family. So I think it was quite difficult initially, but just because I was away from home the first time ever.
And how did you manage? Because when I came, we had no jobs, so I just did cleaning, all sorts of work. Students today also do all sorts of work. So how did you manage in your initial years?
Yeah, so my parents paid for my rent and food, and then I got a job within the first 6 months. I got a first job was cleaner in Bentley Shopping Centre. So through Airlight, I was doing cleaning for the shopping centre, and that was Monday to Friday. And then I got a second job while doing that was pizza delivery in Pizza Heaven in Bentley as well. So I had a couple of jobs quite quickly within the first 6 to 8 months of being here. And then I really enjoyed working as well. It gave me a bit of independence. I had extra money and sort of kept my job going there. I was very lucky to land a couple of those jobs as well.
And how was your experience of working and also studying together? It's almost like 2 full-time jobs.
I guess you get used to it. You just plan yourself around studies and working, and then I think you get motivated to go to work and study and have a social life, and that I think those things helped me ground myself here. So I got used to living here. I wasn't getting as homesick because I had work and studies. You get occupied, you think less, and you get accustomed to the ways of living here. I loved pizza deliveries because I could drive to neighborhoods, and I loved looking at the map and then just making my way. There was no GPS at the time, So we had a UBD, so I had to learn how to use that. But I used to play a game in my head where I didn't look in the UBD but made my way there from point A to B. So I got to learn a lot about the area I was living in. It's exciting, something different to what I was used to. So I enjoyed it.
Do you think the student experience in those days was difficult than student experience these days, or is it comparable, or is it every time has got its own challenges?
I think it would have been more difficult because now students have other job options like Uber Eats, and technology's really helped people to be able to earn an income through Uber and other apps and Airtasker. Back then, if you were trying to apply for jobs, it was print the resume, hit the doors, try to get a job, pick up the newspaper, try to get a job. Gumtree, not Gumtree at the time, was Quokka, the magazine. Get a job from there, call. You really had to prospect to get a job. And I think that's the main difference. Now there's a lot of other options where a student can earn money. And if you had a job, you actually had social credit as well within the students. So how did you get that job? Can you get me a job? So we were always very good at networking with each other to get jobs as well. So.
And how did you land your first job when you finished your information systems?
I finished that and didn't want to work in the IT industry. I quite didn't enjoy my uni degree. So I, in between that, did a lot of other jobs like I was going to do a second degree in math, so I needed some filler jobs. So I worked in a factory as a factory hand, Solar Heart, which is the hot water systems.
Mm-hmm.
I worked there for 6 to 8 months while in between trying to go back to uni again to do my second degree. And that was fun. I really enjoyed that. Welding, parts department, assembly. Really, really enjoyed it. I had a great time over there. So.
Yeah, in my engineering days, I used to do filing work.
Okay.
So design this, you cut out something by, then you have to file to make something. And I just used to do filing all day. Like I liked filing, so I don't know anything after that. Good memories of engineering and workshop floor. It's a different environment.
Environment. I even worked in the chroming department, which was very high risk, where there's chromic acid, and we used to have these. We used to plate the solar panels, so you learn things, and you learn to work hard as well. And it's important, I think, for people to go out and do physical work, especially early in their career. If that's, I don't know, I think it helped me just ground myself and learn that it doesn't matter. I had to work, so I've done a lot of jobs like physical work as well. And definitely not a guy who was thought I would do physical work, but I really enjoyed working in like the factory and doing all that sort of stuff. It was really good fun.
And you never had this thought that you are coming from a situation where you had maids to work for you, and you are here doing welding and cleaning and all the hard work. Why not just finish the education and go back home and enjoy a good life? Why stay back in Australia?
Yeah, I think sometimes I questioned my decisions, but I remember my dad always saying, just work hard, like it doesn't matter. And when I talked to my dad, he said, what are you doing? I said, I've been working in this factory, this is what I'm doing. He said, are you working hard? Are you working well? I'd say yeah. He said, look, it's okay, you do this, you can do something else in the future. As long as you're having a good time, you're learning some new skills, it's fine. My dad was an engineer, very electronic engineer, but I think he sort of embedded that work hard, doesn't matter what you're doing, just work. He was a workaholic himself,
Yeah, that thing comes, the family support is very important when you are trying to find your feet.
Yeah.
So
and you can imagine as well, you finished university and you're supposed to be working on a desk in IT, and then you're working in a factory, Sometimes I think some people questioned my decisions, but I looked at it as work. I didn't matter what I was doing, and I respected the money I was getting in the sense that I was grateful, So I was like, you know what, it's a job. I have a job.
So if I, as a new student in Australia, has to take a few things from your life, from your student life, what are those few things?
Work, do the difficult jobs initially, because that's your only opportunity to build a mindset. I've been a cleaner. I used to clean hotels, clean toilets, done domestic cleaning. So I think these are critical jobs to do as a student. It's a great opportunity. You get regular work. You can study. You can do these jobs late at night while while after hours in offices, and what an opportunity. I think a lot of people think that they're undermine themselves by doing these jobs. I think it's very necessary. It's a good opportunity, and do them, because where I am today, if I hadn't done those things, I wouldn't have had the skill sets, ability, the grounding of myself to be able to do what I do today if I hadn't done those things.
Right. So now you got your first job,
Mm-hmm.
a proper job, and I think it was in sales.
Yeah, so I went to do my second degree as well. That was in actuarial science. So it was a maths degree. And unfortunately, in that first semester, my dad passed away. So I needed to drop everything and just go take care of business back home. So I flew back to Kenya, sort of handled all the things that come with losing my dad and helping my family work through all that stuff as well. And then I came back and I couldn't study again. So I was quite happy to go back to the workforce as well. So I was quite determined to get a good job, look at a career path. So I looked at mining, maybe like offshore stuff. So maybe being a rigger. So this is some of the jobs I looked at. I thought maybe I can go back in the IT industry. Wasn't passionate about it. So it would have just been a filler job. So I looked at that as well. And then I thought about sales. So through my uni degrees, there was a lecturer. His name was Alex. He spoke to me one day. He said, "You would be really good at sales. If you wanted to ever do it, you could do IT sales as well. You'd make a lot more money." And he says, "I think rather than technical, that's where your skill set is." So I did a lot of sales jobs as a student as well, knocking on doors, selling phone products like landline products, stuff like that. Whenever I got a chance to do a bit of a sales job, I would do that as well. I found it a bit easier than doing physical labor work. And then so when I came back after my dad passed away, I looked around and I found an opportunity in the newspaper for a job with Foxtel. So I thought, oh, that's good. I love TV. I loved watching TV, and I thought, oh, I could work for Foxtel. I know the product really well. I had Foxtel as well. So I applied for a job and landed a role in retail. So it's quite lucky.
So a job in a sales, especially for a person who's not from Australia, requires a lot of things. I think it needs a good command over English, because English is the main language. Then you need to go out of your comfort zone to go and talk to someone and make a relationship with someone over a very short period of time. That's needed because you don't have your whole life to make a relationship. Then you have to make relationship with people who are not people from your same background, so you don't know them well. What did you do to prepare yourself to doing those things? It's not an easy thing.
Yeah, it's not easy. That's why I did the sales jobs. I think that lecturer Alex saying that I should do sales was a bit of a motivator, because I thought, oh, maybe he sees something that I have ability in. But sales is very challenging in the beginning. It's nerve-wracking. You're pressure to connect with people, but it's necessary. We all need to know how to sell. So I think I'm one of the few fortunate people that have the ability to sell and have learned through my experiences how to sell and go through that journey as a salesperson. I'm very proud to say I'm a salesperson. And I think a lot of times people, like if you ask my wife, she says, I can't sell. But selling is the art of conversation. So the better you get at conversing with people, the better you get at speaking to people, regardless of your actual language barriers. I've worked with sales guys that spoke very little English but performed exceptionally, from Africa, from India, from other parts of the world, just had English was a second language. But their ability to connect with people through non-verbal cues, was very strong. So the longer I was in sales, I realized that the words are important and the way you say them is very important. but your attitude and the way you communicate, your non-verbal communication, is super important. That's the basis in how well you can be a salesperson.
And do you think you were born with those skills, or do you develop those skills over a period of time by hit and trial?
I think you're not born with sales skills, but you can be born with people skills. So growing up, I have to say my dad was always very demanding of us to say hello to people, to talk to people, to introduce ourselves, to say, hi, I'm so-and-so. I'm, so-and-so's son. Nice to meet you. My dad would say, introduce yourself. I think those are really good skills for kids to talk, because what they do is they hide behind their parents, generally. I think you have to push them forward and say, because we're human beings, like we shouldn't be afraid to say, hi, how are you? Like it's such a simple thing. But yet some people would rather jump off a roof than say hello to someone.
Oh, yes. I remember when I was a student and I was told to recite a poem in front of the whole assembly. I just froze. I couldn't speak even one line.
Yeah, no, and that's different as well, again, because that's kind of like public speaking. Okay, so sales is a bit like public speaking. They're parallelly very similar, and that's public speaking even now is the next advanced level, yeah? Because if you can be a good salesperson, you're not necessarily you'll be a good public speaker, but the fear is, they both have a fear element, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
I imagine a good salesperson, but also a good public speaker. You've got the tools to do whatever you want in life.
Yeah. That's
Now, a lot of times, a lot of people, ask me, I'm in IT, or I'm a doctor, or I'm a dentist, or I meet a lot of people and they'll say, this is my career. I'm like, mate, get good at public speaking, get good at selling. That career of yours will go from 10 to 100 very quickly, because you'll be able to command a room, you'll be able to talk to people, you'll be able to connect with them, you'll be able to listen. These are skills that come with selling that don't happen by chance, but by actually selling.
So did you do any courses on these things, or like people use the Toastmaster and things like that for...
So I haven't done Toastmasters, but that's a brilliant way of actually helping public speaking. Got lots of friends that have gone through Toastmasters, have done exceptionally well in public speaking. So I encourage the listeners, if you are thinking about public speaking, do that. If you get an opportunity to MC a wedding or do that, learn about public speaking, go do courses. These are skill sets you'll carry all through your life, Sales-wise, I was quite lucky. Foxtel had a very strong sales academy. So I had to go in there and just learn at each step of the way how to hold a conversation, what to say, how to frame yourself to be ready to sell. Really like high-level stuff, like neuro-linguistic programming stuff. At the time, I just thought it was just ordinary training, but learning really good stuff. But later, as I educated myself in sales, I realized that the people that put this training together were really super smart people that had put this training together.
Right. So apart from sales skills that you needed in becoming successful in Foxtel, what else do you need to be successful in a corporate environment?
Yeah, so corporate was... I'd been in Foxtel for a few years and then started getting management roles. And then I realized that selling was good skill, but learning how to communicate with people one-to-one, one-to-many was very important. And unfortunately, corporate is also very cutthroat. So if you don't know how to manage the art of war, in that environment, you can get swallowed up and spat out really quickly as well. So reading group dynamics, corporate dynamics was very important. So I read a lot of books. I got mentored by a gentleman at Foxtel as well. Quite a few people mentored me along the way and said, hey, listen, you got a business case these are the key stakeholders, how to get your point across and how to get the business to move in your direction. That itself is another complicated environment to work through, So I think educate yourself on how businesses are run, build your business acumen. Sales is one thing, and then that's another very important thing. understand what the key levers are for a business. And if you can communicate towards that and understand who needs to be on board, it's a complicated world, the corporate world. But yeah, I learned a lot through that as well. I read a lot of books. I read The Art of War. It's another one that I used to often reference before going in and trying to get the business to change a direction, or strategy meetings to understand who is what, how to handle those meetings, how to keep quiet when it's time to keep quiet, and talk up when talking when it's time to talk. Very important things to learn. Also study like great business people, like that's also good. I used to at the time buy a lot of Donald Trump books as well. Now it's not so popular to study from the chap, but
The art of the deal.
yeah, Art of the Deal. So I used to study that, watch YouTube videos, just read like small chapters here and there, business books. So I still have a lot of those. I just read them as I need to, basically.
But there's a lot of mental exercise. How do you keep your sanity? How do you manage your mental health while doing all this cutthroat competitive in a competitive environment?
I think it's an anxious time in your life when you're going up the corporate ladder. I think after a while, depending on your if you're okay in that environment, you can continue to grow. But yeah, I think it was a very anxious moment for me. But I realized just by educating myself more and learning more, I was working through it. I didn't quite enjoy corporate after a while. I found that I was always just business casing stuff, and maybe I didn't continue to grow. So I found that I needed to change my direction. But yeah, I think it's a very anxious time if you're trying to go up the corporate ladder and learn along the way and trying to make decisions. And you'll have fans and people that don't like you along the way, and navigating through that. It's life at the end of the day. It's business. And I think we sometimes, when we're a bit younger, we can think that this isn't fair, that isn't fair, this is, we're driven by our ego. But I think it's necessary. That's how businesses survive and do well. It's because the fittest survive through their businesses, If you're not good with people, you're not good with running business. So you need to learn along the way and find your own sort of niche,
So did you face many other challenges, any other like discrimination and people are not sharing things with you, or you're not part of these things, or any other challenges, or maybe just language barriers, or...
Yeah, look, throughout my career, in all my jobs, I always face challenges, but it's how you react to those challenges. So, go back to Foxtel, I was been encouraged by the business to grow and develop through the business. It gave me a lot of support. So I'd have discrimination because of my age when I was a bit younger. So they would say, oh, here's this smart little young guy, thinks he's better than everyone. He's got a university degree and that's why the business is supporting him. But it was because I was working hard. I was working hard and I had the right attitude. So attitude was very important. And then every level I got different discrimination. Sometimes it was because of the location I was in, being Perth, and you hear all sorts of stuff. I mean, it's just the nature of the business. So you get discrimination or and those kind of things are just normal. Even now I get discriminated for different reasons. So it could be now maybe people discriminate because I'm an old guy. So who knows? Yeah. So it doesn't matter.
So you made good in Foxtel. You succeeded in Foxtel. You reached a good place. Why leave?
I think the business went through a lot of changes. And along the years, I was a WA state manager. I learned a lot about myself, the business. I learned a lot about Foxtel. So I think the landscape was changing. So it was either that or go into another similar corporate role where I ran an entire state or do something different. I think my time was up there, 13 years is a long time working for one business and growing and developing along the way. And I think in the end I wasn't growing, and the time came for some major changes in the business. So I think we all sort of sometimes opt out of the business, or we get opted out either way. So it was good. It was good. It was time for a change, you know.
And how was that period of flux in your life when you are moving from one organization to something else?
Yeah, it was. It was very challenging because I just had my son as well, so I wanted to make a change in my life and have a different journey. So it was either go back to another corporate role, or I was very passionate about real estate. I was super passionate about real estate. At every spare time, I loved real estate. So looking at my properties, studying property, studying the markets, I loved all that stuff. So I thought, oh, that's my passion. So let me go and pursue my passion, you know, naively thought this is the only chance I'm going to get. I'm not going to do it when I'm in my 60s, you know.
So did you jump straight away from Foxtel to real estate, or did you make some preparations while you were in Foxtel to your subsequent life in real estate?
No, I jumped. I pretty much jumped. I think the only thing I did was go and did the Reaver course while I was leaving Foxtel. I knew I was leaving, so I did the course so I can get a bit of litmus test on the industry, understand it. And that course was really exciting for me. It was a great course that Riva conducts in Subiaco, so it was really, really good. And I realized it's going to be challenging as well. So I think part of me wanted to take a difficult step as well and try it, because I was like, okay, I can give it a go. If I don't succeed, who cares, you know? So I think that was my thing. I was like, I really enjoy real estate. So if I don't do it now, when am I going to do it, you know? If not now, when, you know, sort of thing in my head. But also I was very nervous because, you know, you have a family, your bills to pay, going from a corporate, really good salary job to now going to commission only in the industry, you know. It's not an easy task. I think over the years I lost my sales competency. So I was like, I wouldn't go back to the streets and sell again because that I knew I was good at it. And I was excited about full sale starting again. I wanted to start again, actually. So, and the industry was going through challenges in 2017. A lot of people were leaving the industry. The market was really tough. So I knew if I'd survived the first 2 years, that was the goal. Just make it past 2 years. Then the market's going to either improve or my situation's going to get better, you know. So definitely the most challenging thing I've ever done was the first 2 years in real estate, which is usually the case for everyone in the industry, you know. So the market was tough. It's not like the way it is now, and market's really good and buoyant. Back then, market was just heading south, and you would list a property, and then within 3 weeks, it lost more value. And yeah, it was a tough place to start in, but it was a smart decision, basically.
So I know a lot of people who want to join in real estate or who have joined the real estate, but they don't stay in the real estate for too long, 2 years, 3 years, and then they log out. Is that industry that hard, or they are missing something which the industry needs and they're not bringing it in?
It's a tough industry, and you're right. So in Reba, the first thing they taught us, there was 35 of us in the class, and the guy who was doing the lesson was like, calculated, and he said only 2 of you will be here in 5 years. That's 100% accurate. 5 years. I've just had my 5-year anniversary. Me and another agent are the only 2 left out of that class in the industry still.
That's just a 6% survival rate.
Yes, basically. So, you know, he was brutally honest. You're all here thinking you can do this, but the reality of the situation is only one or two of you will survive through the first 5 years of the industry. And we all looked at each other saying, I think it's going to be me. Is it going to be you? And the guy on my table, we were the only 2. We're still in the industry, both really successful in real estate. And it's great to see. We often talk about it, that we're the only 2 left. So that's a cool story, you know. But yeah, it's the reality.
And does it need something special that it makes you keep going in the industry?
A lot of grit, you know, the grind, the nose on the ground, you know, just you just have to keep going. Like it's something that is very emotionally draining, like going through that journey. But if you have grit, grind, and just like a never die attitude, that's what it takes in this industry. And time. If you can survive the first 2, 3 years, you're on the way to doing quite well, and support and a lot of factors. It's not. It's like any business. I mean, if you go to the business bureau, they'll tell you the same thing. 5 to 10% of businesses survive. Real estate is like running your own business. So you are under the same pressures that a normal business is when they're starting. It's the same thing. You work for yourself. You run your business. That's what it's like.
And when the industry turned, how are you faring now? Where are you in your industry?
Yeah, I was
your
in a good spot because I'd done the groundwork. So I was lucky I got to enjoy the little change in the industry. And yeah, it's much pleasant than being on the other side but we're prepared for either now because we know how to handle a tough market. In a tough market, good real estate agents always do well. So I don't really care what industry we're in. I know that I have the skill sets and the tools. So I learned it the right way. I learned the hard way, then the easier way. And now if you go back to hard way, I already got the blueprint and the plan ready to go. So if you come to this industry now and have it a bit easier, you'll think this is the normal. My normal is quite different. So I think I'm quite well equipped to handle any market, any changing market.
So the people who are listening to you, they would say, "Oh, he's did first 2 years good, but then the industry turned and the property prices boomed, and there's so good benefits during your Foxtel days. Your company supported you in providing all that things. Companies don't provide the training these days. They say you go and do your courses from outside university. So I'm having tough. What's your message? What would you say to them?
Or just take your own responsibility. Go learn and develop as you're going. There's no free lunches. It's going to cost you. So at the end of the day, like in a tough industry, in a tough market in real estate, I continue to grow and develop myself. In my first year, they called development credit points, CPDs. I did 54 CPD points. We're only supposed to do 7. That's our minimum requirement. You do your 7 plus your 3 elective. 3 mandatory and 7 elective. I did 54 elective points in my first year. So I continued to study the industry. So it was good because it was a tough industry. I just had to grind, plus educate myself. Then I did my diploma in property as well, my first 2 years. Became a licensed real estate agent in my 3rd year. So I think rather than complaining about the industry, if things slow down, pivot and learn more.
And how big is your industry? How big is your company now?
So yeah, I've got 6 agents and 2 admin staff. I'm part of the agency as well. Agency has grown to, I think the agency group have just under 200 agents now. So it's a pretty large business. My little business within that is doing fairly well. We finished last year number 1 team in the agency as well, and 6th overall in WA. So it's good. We're heading in the right direction. The plan was always to grow a team, so I'm quite happy with the way things are going. Obviously, the challenges along the way, but that's with anything, yeah.
Yeah. What future do you see? Where do you see in the next 5 years?
Yeah, I think I will have a much bigger team in the next 5 years. I see myself doing a lot more in-depth property stuff as well. So perhaps going to development myself, do residential sales, land development sales as well. Looking to diversify our sales offerings, basically. And also, I really enjoy property, so I think I'd be doing a lot more developments and stuff like that as well. Because I love property. Like I said, I'm passionate about it, so I've understood that that doesn't only mean sell property, it also means engage in property itself, So, yeah, so I think that's where I will be doing a lot of more in the future, is doing my own developments, and I do a bit of that right now. But yeah, I look to continue to grow that, grow my offerings through that, and help my business associates do well through that channel as well. So yeah, I'm looking excited about the future. So yeah, I think I'll still be selling property because I enjoy that. I love going out in the weekends, selling a property, putting a sticker on a board. But yeah, I think you will see I'll be doing a lot more other things as well, which I've started already. So we're hoping to grow that part of the business.
Apart from work, how do you keep connections with Kenya? Do you still go back? Do you still have got the business, your father's business there? You got an extended family there?
Extended family, dad's business, no. So definitely an extended family, a lot of cousins and relatives. I've got friends there as well. So these days the world is small. WhatsApp friend groups, you can stay connected. But yeah, I try to go once every 5 years to visit. So
And what differences do you see in a Kenyan culture and an Indian culture and an Australian culture? And how do you manage these three? Do you like something here, something there?
yeah, so Kenyan people are very hardworking people. They're also very humble, very friendly. So and the word Hakuna Matata is a Swahili word. And that's Kenya to its essence. Everyone is very chilled out, very like relaxed and happy, So I think that's something that is who I am. I'm very like relaxed, and open to people, and I'm always trying to just be positive. Like there's no problem, let's work through it, sort of thing. So that's a great part of my culture growing up in Kenya. And then obviously being Indian, we're very enterprising. Kenyan Indians are really good business people. We see all our friends and family in businesses, thriving to do better. We were migrants there as well, so that's always been like we want to do better and add value back to the country. So that's something that's positive about being Indian, of that culture and ilk, is we're pro-community, pro-enterprise, we're looking to do that. And I like Australia because there's no egos, everyone's the same. So I think that's one thing that I've learned in this country is everyone's the same. Like there's no class system, there's no hierarchy. You might have the Prime Minister of Australia standing next to you. You shake the dude's hand and say, "How's it going, mate?" Like it's a very, very level playing field. So whoever comes here, everyone's on the same level playing field. So that's what I really like about Australia. Like it doesn't matter who you are, you can do well in this country. And if you have the right attitude, you'll do really well in this country. So that's what I really like. I've learned not to care about someone's title here, and to treat everyone the same. So I think that's the difference between the three parts of my background.
Real estate is also dependent on the developments that go around, say, Tonkin Highway. This is to be developing. There's recently a new film and something institute was announced.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you see the pace of real estate developing in the new future? Because there's very little development happening in WA.
No, there's a lot of development happening in WA. So like that new world-class film studio in Whiteman Park, that's like that's another infrastructure amenity, not really an amenity, but a money spent in an area. So you've got the MetroNet coming to Whiteman Park, obviously. So that community there have been asking for a train station to Ellenbrook for 20 years. It's finally happening. For them to go put $100 million on a film studio nearby as well just shows that the government's really pro, improving the areas. So those things are really good for the local communities there because it means they've improved amenities and they've got, it'll become more higher demand areas. So infrastructure improvements a key lever to help communities commute better to the city, but also for them to grow wealth in their land holdings as well. So I think it's really good. Perth is very suburban. So, like any part of, compared to other parts of Australia, we're spread from Alkimos to Mandurah, So we're spread out quite a bit. But there's still a lot of land developments going on, We've got companies like Stocklands, Peat. These are major land developers. They are constantly starting new estates and growing. So it's good to see. There's a lot of push for infill development, so closer to the city where people have subdivisions going on. I think there's a lot of positive news for Perth, and the market seems to be responding quite well. There's a supply issue as well, so I think the future's quite positive for Perth.
So the Australian dream of having a big house and a big backyard and big front yard, that's going to be there for some time?
I think people are changing. What Uber's done to the taxi industry, people's perceptions of what success looks like is changing as well. Since COVID, we've seen an increased amount of people wanting the bigger backyard, living in the country. They want to go further out. But there's, I think in real estate as well, you might find cities like Sydney, there may be some sort of co-sharing accommodation style living. So I think that Australian dream is going to always be there, but I think there's going to be other options for people,
Right.
So,
Real estate is very time consuming. I see you out at 7 o'clock in the BNI meeting and then finishing off at 11 o'clock in the night. How do you relax? How do you unwind? How do you take time out of yourself?
I'm probably not a good example for a balanced lifestyle, but that's because I'm passionate about real estate. So I spend long hours every day, but I enjoy it. So when I get up in the morning, I'm like, I am quite often grateful for my family, and then it's real estate straight after that, So I always say I'm grateful for my family, and then I move straight to work mode, So it's really hard, and my mind doesn't stop thinking. So as soon as I get up, I'm like, I've got to call this person, I've got to do this, put a contract together, I've got to follow up, I've got to help so-and-so and do this, that, the other. So there's a bunch of stuff that happens in a day, Like for us to do over 200 sales, there's a lot of moving parts. So I've got a great team. I'm very fortunate to have great people around me. I wouldn't have been able to do it without them. But yeah, it's quite often... it's a work in progress. It's not easy to have balance when you're trying to do more, because you take on more and you do more. But yeah, I'm working on having a bit more of a balance. So I'm trying to go home, have dinner with my family, and then go out again. Trying to go for my kids, like assemblies and things like that. Little bits and pieces here. So my son asked me the other day, "Are you coming for dinner with us?" Like on Friday night. So we go to a local restaurant. I said, "Yeah, I'm coming for dinner." He said, "Oh, I just thought I'd ask you because sometimes you don't come for dinner, So it's tough. Like people don't understand. This is you're dealing with people's largest asset. Like for you to have the right to sell someone's house, you can't take it lightly. It's not a joke, Someone's $500,000 asset, $1 million asset, $2 million asset. Someone calls and says they want to talk about the property, you have to drop things and go, So it's not, unfortunately, it's not for everyone, not for everyone's family, because your family can struggle through that. But yeah, I think communication helps. We often talk about the challenges we have with my work-life balance at home, and we talk about it. Like, often my family will say, okay, you need to take a break, or you need to say no. So I'm trying to say no sometimes.
But saying no is an art. So
Yeah.
how do you say no? And
Yeah, definitely. I'm learning it. I'm still learning a lot. So saying no in the right way and saying no to business as well is an art, you know. So yeah, I think I've improved a lot in the last 6 months in that. I don't take on everything either. Very selective, but also trying to grow my business at the same time. Not all business is good business either, you know. So if it doesn't hit sort of our criteria, we're trying to say a lot more no's now and focus on where it's good business for us. So yeah, I think that's your 100% saying no is an art as well.
So now, when you look back in your last 20 years, you had good success. You came as a student, had nothing, build up your student life, build up your Foxtel life, build up your real estate life. Do you remember, do you look back at some of your failures that you started something, didn't leave, like actuarial sciences?
Hmm.
You had to leave because of your father's demise.
But that was a failure as well, not doing that, you know. I think like as you get older, you realize all that is part of the journey. So it's not like, oh, I studied IT and I didn't end up in the IT industry as a failure. I look at it like I did that, I learned what I had to, and that wasn't for me, so something else is for me. You know, I was a cleaner, kitchen hand, assistant chef, done a lot of jobs. So all that stuff today makes me so relatable to people. I don't look at any of that as oh, I wasted my time. I look at it as like it was a critical piece of my puzzle. You know, it's another thing that I can attach myself to. I've done that, and you got to be proud of what you've done. Whether it's yeah, at the end of the day, it's money. It's a job. I'm not afraid of going to work to be a cleaner again, or work in retail, or be a kitchen hand. I'll do it. I don't really I don't look at it like, oh, that's beneath me. You know, I think you should do whatever. I mean, I'm a real estate agent that goes in letter drops. I mean, that's like walking this. That's the cheapest job you could do at 5 cents a mail drop. You know, we do that. We do all sorts of stuff as real estate agents. It's all work. Like, you shouldn't look at it like this is better than the other. It's just do what is necessary. You know.
Yeah, I've done that. I've done those letterboxes for my business, and then suddenly it's like, why am I doing this? Why I could be doing something else, which is much more fun than dropping boxes to other people.
I think. Look, you're right. You could pay someone to do it as well, but if you can't pay someone to do it, you should do it yourself.
It's a good fun.
Yeah,
You get out of your comfort zone and your house, and sometimes if it's a good weather, it's even more enjoyable.
but it's the business journey as well.
It's a business
You can't
journey.
talk about growing a business if you haven't gone through those things. You know, if you haven't hit the pavement, gone and met people to talk about your business or sell your business, you're not in business if you haven't done that. If you haven't risked it, you know.
Right. So if someone has to take out 2 or 3 learnings from your life, last 20, 30 years, what are those 3 things?
I think always have fun with whatever you're doing. That's definitely a learning. Even when it's tough or whatever, just be grateful that you have a job, have fun. And then also don't chase anyone. That's the big one for me. So I'm starting to really understand this. You're not chasing that other agent or that other business person. You don't compare yourself to Elon Musk or your local multi-million-dollar guy next door who drives a nice car. You should be chasing yourself in 5 years.
Right.
You should chase the better Rash in 2 years' time. You know, that's the guy you're competing against, the guy you're going to become. Follow him because he's you, you know, at the end of the day, and he's going to motivate you even more than these other ones. Not comparing to someone else, they've got their own journey, they've had their own life, you know. So that's a good lesson, I feel. And then the third one would be just be respectful to people. You know, you don't need to be an asshole. Just be nice. It's okay to be nice. There's nothing wrong with it, you know.
Right. Thank you for all the sharing all those things. Before we close, how can anyone reach out to you if they want to reach out to you for even a coffee or just a chat or anything?
Sure. So happy to have a chat with anyone that's got any real estate questions or any business questions or looking to join the real estate industry as well. My website is www.teamrash.com.au. That's www.teamrash.com.au. And they can find my number pretty much anywhere. You can happy to Google me and just grab a number and call and say hello. But yeah, anything you'd like help with real estate, happy to give you unbiased opinion about anything.
Thanks, Rash.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure talking to you today, but also knowing you for the last 3-4 years now. There's a lot to learn. There's always a lot to learn and always a lot to get from you.
Thank you. Appreciate the invite
Yeah.
and happy to come back and chat whenever you like.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you. Thanks
Bye.
again. Dialogues. Please visit perthdialogues.au. From everyone in the studio, goodbye.